You are beautiful. You were a good dream. You are a shining star in a cold, dark nighttime world. Verde cone. Hey, it's April 23, 2014, and out walking around eating the spring foods. Summer staples aren't yet ripe. I mean, you've got bean pods growing on the Palo Verde, but it's going to be a couple weeks at least, until they're starting to become edibly ripe. And so I'm eating ironwood cones, Palo Verde cones. Those are the flowers. I'm doing a little Sasquatch experimentation with chaparral, creosote bush, because I know that these leaves and the flowers, these are really high in protein. So if you were a hardcore Sasquatch and you weren't really eating meat, but you were eating the vegetable stuff that's growing right now, and you're not going to be getting the only beans you're going to have are the leftover hard seeds from last year, which with Palo Verde is fine, because even if you weren't going to boil it like beans, if you weren't even going to cook it, you can leave those hard Palo Verde beans that you find dried up, still hanging from the trees, you can leave that in water overnight. If you left it overnight and for a full day, they would puff up into their original shape, and you could even eat them raw, and I don't know why not. I have not yet heard of any way you can get sick from those. So anyway, my experiment at the moment is the chaparral leaves, and in this little area here, the flowers are already dried up. There's still some flowers on these bushes and other places. The flowers have a little bit of a sweet taste. The texture of the leaves is very edible, but the taste is awful. I mean, it's a combination of really sweet and really bitter, and I mean really, both of those. But if you can acquire the taste by drinking the tea, which I've learned that if I mix the chaparral tea with orange juice, half and half, or any kind of fruit juice, or a fruit infusion kind of a tea, it's really pretty good. But by itself, well, you got to acquire a taste for it. But if you do that, then it's the same taste right now, just eating the leaves. And the point of that is to get your protein. Because if you were just eating, flowers, right, you're not getting very much protein, and you're going to still feel hungry all the time. And so this is just an experiment to see how much of this I can handle. Remember, as I've said before, if you go from a European introduced diet, if you go from a packaged store-bought diet to eating desert foods, it would be an incredible shock to your system. I mean, you'd at least get diarrhea. So you have to gradually introduce these things into your diet so that your body can become accustomed to it. It's in the high 90s right now, getting up close to 100 degrees. So, of course, when all the fun stuff to eat out here is ripe and ready to eat, it's going to be in the triple digits, which is one of the things about the lower Sonoran region that I think is no fun. Behind me is something that they call the progress of man. While the rest of the country is in a recession, Arizona is filled with entrepreneurs who aren't aware that there's anything they can't do, even during a recession. So building slowed down, but now it's picking up again. I wish that would stop, but I wish it would stop because people see what I do and are inspired by it and go, hey, wow, we can live naturally. But the whole world isn't made up of people like me or you, so there's nothing we can do to stop that other than just be who we are and let them see how cool it is. So 4.5 months ago, I broke my ankle, and here I am hiking. I'm a little less in shape than I was, and I'm a little wobblier than I was, but nothing's going to stop me. I'm one of those Arizona guys too, although I just do things a little differently and see things a little differently. So way over there is the 303. That's Phoenix's newest freeway, if you want to call it that. And it's crossing over the Agua Fria River, which usually doesn't have water in it because, as I understand it, I think the water's been diverted through a canal system, but every now and then they open that up and let the water through. And I think I'm going to turn around and go back. This is Foothills, Palo Verde, or yellow Palo Verde, and you can tell not only because the trunk and the branches are a yellow green rather than kind of more of a blue green, which would be blue Palo Verde, but also these flowers, there's a white petal. Yeah, on each of these flowers, you see there's a white petal, whereas blue Palo Verde doesn't have the white petal. There is also Mexican Palo Verde, which doesn't grow naturally in the wilderness here. It's not indigenous to Arizona, and I hope it never starts growing naturally because the beans taste like some really bad earwax. I know from when I was a little kid what earwax tastes like, so that's a pretty good analogy. Cholla flowers seem to kind of help get the bitter taste of chaparral and all that other stuff out of your mouth. It has mucilage or mucin, which if you had type 2 diabetes, it would help control that. So as long as you're eating spring desert flowers, go for some cholla flowers too. And this is where the happy birthday balloons go when they die. I really hope I don't get in trouble for this someday. Here is a not quite dead barrel cactus. In big windstorms, sometimes these barrel cactuses get knocked over, and as long as there's one root going into the ground, it's never really going to die. I shouldn't say never, of course. But anyway, so when I find one that's knocked over, it usually is the barrel cactus that I'm going to harvest a little bit from. It won't kill it if I cut it up a little bit, provided that I don't cut off the top. So that would be the cactus that I use to get water from or food, because nature vandalized the cactus first. It's kind of a painful job at first because I want to cut away the spines from the section that I'm going to cut open. I'm not so sure if this cactus is a good choice anyway, because the spines look like they're dying. You know, this cactus hasn't been getting water, and the spines are going from red to kind of a brown color. So it wouldn't surprise me if this cactus isn't very useful after I go to the trouble of cutting into it. All right, so if I was really serious, I'd go a lot deeper into this cactus, but this in limited quantities is food and it's moist, and if it had been raining recently, you could squeeze it and water would come out of it. Still could. I could probably squish it with my foot and you'll see water come out of it. Moisture, so you can actually look at that, it's pouring out. So if you had something to catch the water in, which could be a rock with a little dip in it, you could squeeze that water out of that cactus and drink it. Or eat it again, and you get the moisture in your mouth. It's especially useful if it's rained recently, but the rain seasons, winter and spring, have been horrible here. So there's a lot less moisture in that cactus than there would be otherwise. If you harvest a barrel cactus for its water, you can actually keep coming back. Again, you won't kill the cactus if you don't cut the top off where the flowers would grow out of it. It will form a skin where I cut it open there. That'll kind of dry out and harden over, and so you could come back at another time and cut in underneath that and keep using the same cactus. Although, you know, of course, eventually you're gonna destroy the cactus. There's been at least one time that I've been on a hike and I've taken a good piece of barrel cactus like that, just put it in a cargo pocket and taken it with me, so I would just eat it as I walked. And it was kind of like taking a granola bar with you, you know? It was a portable food source and moisture. Brittle bush resin has been used in the past for many things. I'm sure I've talked about it before. It was used as an adhesive at this time of the year. It's really sticky the way it is. I like to just gather it, chew it up, you know, keep getting a larger and larger quantity in my mouth, and then just dry it and save it for future use. So probably the most useful thing, maybe as an adhesive or a glue. You can heat it later after it's been dried and use it as kind of a wet adhesive, sort of like you know, Elmer's. And of course, the old early Spanish churches used it as incense. It's been used for a lot of things. It's also very useful for cleaning your teeth, helping you fight cavities when you're doing what I'm doing now, gathering it and chewing it like gum.
Two parties, so the voters have choice. The FCC to secure free voice. Powerful police to make us feel safe, and public schools for correct education. For financial security, creating strict laws to secure our liberty, fighting wars for world peace, and Orwell called it newspeak. Ruled by one big global power, satellites watching over us every hour.